Hello and welcome in, everybody. I am Griffin.
And I'm John.
And today we have a really packed episode for you with a lot of exciting things, including today we're going to talk about the Disneyland for mountain bikers.
Ooh, I want to ride.
We're also going to be looking at a new trade-in program where you can swap an old bike for a new one.
Gotta love upcycling.
And also, we're going to be answering some user questions, including torque sensor or cadence sensor. Which one is best for you?
Some bikes offer you both. All that and more on this week's episode of The Weekly Recharge. In the fun find section here, we take a look at some of the cool things our team has stumbled across on the internet this week and just give you guys our fresh reactions.
So let's go ahead and take a look. I think we're starting out on Facebook. Ooh. What do we have here? So let's say e-bikes for people over 50. We got a light show going on here, John.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Some Christmas beats.
Jams, yeah. Spreading that holiday cheer.
It looks like electric, but that thing is lit up. Look at all the camera angles and camera work.
I wonder if he's got speakers on that thing blasting that music, or if it's...
I kind of hope so, but I mean,
great.
even then, just the light show enough. Like, I'll appreciate that from afar.
Absolutely love that.
Is that electric? I think it's electric. I don't know, but I've always wanted to actually have that, especially when they have like the lights and the wheels like they've got. I think it's just so cool.
Yeah, it adds a lot and obviously turns a lot of heads too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move on to our next Facebook post. We've got, again, e-bikes for people over 50. 55-mile round trip to Moonlight Beach in Encinitas, California. Love me some Encinitas. I did some ATVing there once.
Really?
Yeah, it was a good time. Got home with 75% left on the second battery. I always carry 2 fully charged battery, 1 on the bike and 1 in the rack bag on my Adventure 2. Take an extra gas tank. Why the heck not? And look at this pretty area.
Sounds like you're doing it right. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's from Brian Richter. Thanks for sharing that, Brian. Ooh, look at some of these pictures. Wow. They're really nice. Man, I got to go back to Encinitas. It's a nice place.
Oh, wow. That coast.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Jumping into our next one. Let's see. This one from Dan Drummond on the Event and Adventure Owners Facebook page. Since purchase on May 19th, 187 days, 0 problems, and you, my friend, just crossed the 1,000-yard line.
That's right. High five for, what's this guy's name?
I mean, that's for you, Dan. I took it on your behalf. But always a really exciting day. We're humans. We like those nice round numbers, and thousands just so cool. So good on you, man. Keep riding.
Yeah, best wishes for many more.
Yeah, heck yeah. All right, so let's see. Next up, we've got Dynamic Bike Care over on Instagram. What are we doing here? We are sealant testing going wrong. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, you went to stab the tire.
Puncture protection doesn't last.
We went for the tire, but found the rim instead. That's going to be costly. That's a rough day for the sake of content.
We appreciate it anyway, I guess.
Best of luck to you there. Okay, so Instagram again, Tex Express. Want to take a ride?
Ooh, okay. I can get on board with that.
Are we doing this? Are we go?
Is
Maybe?
that one of the whole like wheel thing? Yeah, okay.
We're doing it! Go full 360. Uh-oh, don't get stuck.
Yeah,
don't get stuck at the top.
Blood rushing to the brain.
Probably getting disoriented now. Oh, no,
she made it.
All
Nice.
right, completed the loop. That's awesome. Okay, and then next up, so Pedalaria Official on Instagram. What are we doing? I can't read Spanish, so I'm just gonna not on that one, but...
He swapped his
Oh.
C-post with the handlebars? What?
Okay.
He's riding backwards? What?
We're... So many whats?
Yep, C-tube, I got that word.
C-tube? Fluent in Spanish.
That looks real awkward, I'm not gonna lie.
Super awkward, but... Oh, because it's still turning in the rear. Like, what are you just at the...
Well, okay, yeah.
Nice hard.
I love seeing people having fun playing around, but clearly that doesn't work.
That's someone with a lot of time on their hands who's like, yeah, you know what I should do? I should swap the seat or the seat post with the handlebars and just see what happens. Well, that's what happens. Now we know.
For sure.
Okay, so now we're looking at Benno bikes.
Okay.
What do we got here? Electric Sun Creatives using her Remy Demi fitted with our Knobby dirt tires to level up her driftwood collection process, which she uses for creating amazing artwork.
Ooh.
Benno Sport Cargo bikes give you all the cargo capability without sacrificing bike looks or rides. That's
a heavy, big load of driftwood there.
Some of those are like taller than she is, but we got a video too, and we're riding, we're hitting the sand.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
It's handling that very well.
That's awesome. That's good. Okay, we're going to layer 2. I want to see if driftwood got turned into art.
Oh, wow.
Electric Sun Creative. Okay. Ooh.
I
There's some cool art pieces in here. Seen some wood stuff.
Wow. Is that resin with metal? That's between
Very cool, though.
copper. All right, yeah.
That's awesome. Sarah Perez, Electric Sun Creatives. Go support a local artist, everybody. That's pretty cool.
Especially during this holiday season. Yeah.
All right, next up we've got St. Peter Rad Power Bikes. You never know who might ride away with a Rad Power Bike, but this lucky guy scored big. Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
That is
Ooh,
cool.
someone just scored a free bike. Oh, heck yeah.
Oh.
He's smiling. Got the passenger package on there.
I mean, that's what that bike is for.
I mean, going to go riding with someone else, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to you, brother. Enjoy the bike.
Good choice there.
Yeah. Okay. This is Omnium?
Okay. Cargo bikes just want to have fun.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's getting low. Oh, wheelie.
Yeah, we've seen some stuff like
Superman.
this before. It's not the kind of bike you usually
This has
expect
got that
for
platform up in the front
tricks.
and stuff too. Yeah, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Who says you can't have fun on cargo?
No, for sure. You won't see me popping wheelies out there, but more
Yeah,
power to you.
I'm going to refrain, but maybe maybe one day.
Maybe.
Okay, let's go take a look. Our final one on Instagram, Peter Moss 84. About today, muscle gravel ride. Oh, the scenic wooded ride-alongs. It always makes me jealous and want to go there.
Yeah, same. I mean, we have some nice scenery around here, but nothing quite like that.
I was like, that's next level. Okay, jinxed.
Brains.
Yep. Okay, well, awesome. That's going to do it for our fun discoveries of the week. So thanks to the team for finding those for us.
Yeah.
All right, now let's take a look at the biggest headlines that affected the e-bike world this week. John, what do we have?
Starting off with some trade and import news. So this is going to be a little bit of a lot, but we'll summarize. The U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission has recommended to Congress that they eliminate an exemption that basically makes it easier for low-cost, very low-quality e-bikes and batteries to be sold here in the U.S.
Gotcha.
This comes to us from Bicycle Retailer, and I'll read a quote from that article. The abuse of this exemption, otherwise known as the de minimis exemption, allows goods valued at under $800 to enter the U.S. duty-free and with less regulatory oversight and without certificates of compliance. Also, they can be sold well below market cost because no duties, federal, state, or local taxes are paid. Those products can also enter the U.S. market bypassing Consumer Product Safety Commission regulations because offshore retailers are out of reach of the U.S. government and its legal system.
So you mentioned that was going to be a lot. There was a lot in there. So it's kind of like the takeaway. Like, what's this trying to do?
So we kind of think of this as like the anti-Temu Act. You know, if you're shopping on Alibaba or Temu, places like that, you know, you might come across some e-bikes that are extremely affordably priced. You know, $300 to $500, something like that.
Yep.
Basically, that should be a red flag. You know, we've talked a lot about you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. We've always told people, you know, $1,000 is usually where you want to start, and for good reason.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's kind of three ways to look at this. So starting off with safety, you know, the exemption here allows these companies to make products that do not meet the safety and certification standards that a lot of U.S.-based brands have to meet, especially in places like New York City.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of talk about, you know, battery fires, which aren't actually usually related to
big
e-bikes.
topic of discussion for 2 years, even though, how much e-bike involved.
Yeah,
That's
debatable,
a different story, but
for sure. So, you know, being able to bypass those, you know, these low quality products that may not be safe are able to be sold, and, you know, we think that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like we all like a really good deal, and hey, I'd happily take a $500 e-bike if it was good quality and stuff like that, but this does seem like kind of a loophole. It's been exploited. It'd be nice to just make sure people are getting very safe things. It's, you know, holiday shopping season right now. I've gotten lots of texts, people like, hey, what do you think of this e-bike? And I look at it and it's like, oh, okay, it's $800 to see why you like it, but also there's no branded components here. I've never heard of this brand before. I can't find like a US based something to talk to. So yeah, just, you know, too many question marks, too many red flags, not necessarily a great thing. So it would be kind of good maybe to, you know, see them close this loophole.
That is kind of the second point, is just, you know, everything on the consumer side. I mean, you know, you buy an e-bike, you want to get something that has quality, that is, you know, feels good to ride, that's made with quality components, that you can get serviced, that you can have customer support with, and you can't really get that with these brands because they don't have a US presence.
Yep.
And then just kind of finally, looking at this from like a fairness standpoint, you know, the US-based companies put a lot of time and money into developing their products and getting them certified with these UL certifications and testing processes that are not cheap. You know, that's an important thing to consider. So by removing this exemption, that kind of levels the playing field and makes sure that everybody's playing by the same rules and being fair.
It's all too easy to swoop in, make something that looks similar to a popular thing, slap on a few buzzwords on it, and then, undercut and sell. So yeah, it would be fair to, you know, a lot of those brands who do take all the proper steps. So we'll keep an eye on that, see how that, you know, kind of progresses. But
fingers crossed.
Yeah. So next news story is actually about upgrade programs. So Upway has partnered with Rad Power Bikes to bring a trade-in program to some of Rad's brick and mortar locations. So
exciting.
This comes to us by way of Electrek. Maxime Renson, Upway's general manager, said, "We're excited to partner with Rad Power Bikes to bring Upway's innovative trade-in program to select Rad retail locations. The partnership simplifies the e-bike upgrade process for Rad retail customers while expanding the life cycle of e-bikes and reducing waste. By refurbishing e-bikes and offering a 1-year warranty on traded e-bikes, we are able to offer premium brands at a discounted price and give access to electric mobility to an even larger group of people." All right, so
that's awesome, man.
I was like, really cool.
Love that.
There's really cool stuff in here. Let me give you a couple of breakdowns and takeaways. So, number one, if you don't know, Upway, they already specialize in bringing it. You can trade in your old bikes to them right now, which is a really great way for you to like recoup a little bit of cash if you're looking at getting something new. I kind of like this where you can just kind of jump straight into a Rad Power bike. That's what we're looking to upgrade to. I think American consumers, like my phone, my watch, my laptop, usually by the time it's reached the end of its life cycle, I want to trade it in, get the newest, latest, greatest. Couple $100 off of it here and there, always helpful.
Definitely.
Plus, it's nice knowing that item either gets recycled or gets, you know, refurbished and sent to somebody else who needs something a little more affordable. It's kind of like win-win-win all the way around. So bringing this to Rad seems like a good deal to me.
That's very cool. You know, we learned that you can bring in your bike. Rad's team will take a look at it. You have a couple options there. You can either just sell it directly to Upway, and their mechanics will take a look at it, refurbish anything, and then put it on their website, or you can trade it into that towards a new Rad.
Yep, and it looks like they're going to be starting out in a few select locations. So Seattle, Washington, Rad's home base, Berkeley, Santa Barbara, Huntington Beach, San Diego, and Salt Lake City, Utah. Shout out Utah.
Yeah, right.
Denver, Colorado, and St. Petersburg, Florida. So going to keep an eye on this program as well, see how it works for them. Wouldn't be surprised if some other brands start doing similar things as people look to upgrade. So
I definitely hope so.
Awesome stuff. All right, moving on. What do we got next?
Up, we have, so the California Air Resources Board is starting an e-bike incentive program in California. So that is going to begin on December 18th. There right now is $3 million set aside for vouchers towards e-bikes that are worth up to $2,000 depending on your income, and there are going to be about 1,500 vouchers up for grabs. Now, there are some qualifications that you have to meet in order to get one. Number one, you have to complete an application on the website, which recommend definitely taking a look at that and creating an account beforehand. I read that, you know, that's not quite set up yet, but keep an eye on that before December 18th.
Pro tip, try and get in there before the actual date opens.
Yeah, don't want that website to crash. And then you have to be at least 18 years old, and your income has to be a maximum of 300% of the poverty level in California. So for a single person household, that is $45,000, and for a 4-person family, that is about $94,000. And you also have to complete an online video safety course in order to qualify. So
awesome.
Just very exciting, you know.
I feel like we talk about these programs a lot, which is awesome. We want more and more of them. I really love seeing money set aside, especially to help lower income families. This kind of ties back into our first news story of the day, which is like, you don't have to go buy a sketchy, cheap e-bike from who knows where.
Questionable bike.
You might be able to get some some financial assistance and jump into a good quality e-bike. Just seems like a win no matter which direction you're looking. So
100%. Get people out on bikes, get some exercise, get some, have more fun, clear your head. Bikes do wonders.
Yeah, so. Awesome. Okay, and then our last bit of news, John, 2025 is right around the corner, which means we're going to start seeing some new models come out.
That's exciting.
One that I actually saw just this morning is from Scott. It is their new Patron E-Ride EMTB. So it is either a carbon or alloy. It's probably an alloy too, but it's a carbon or an alloy enduro style e-bike. Got a lot on it to love. I mean, it's a Bosch CX performance motor,
very nice.
A 750 watt hour battery. It's got a really cool looking integrated shock, so the frame looks like a solid piece. It really looks sleek to me.
Wow.
But it's a Fox suspension system, 150, 160 travel. So I mean, it looks like a really sweet ride, and it's coming from a brand that I like a lot. I mean, I got a lot of Scott goggles for my ski stuff, but really excited to kind of see what this one's like. Hopefully we get one in to test sometime. But
That would be awesome. I'm pretty excited about that huge battery. That's definitely gonna keep you out on the trails
I
longer.
love me the full power rigs. Let me ride all day, please and thank you. So that's gonna do it for the weekly news recap.
All right, so now we're going to take a look at all the products currently in testing and the reviews that have gone live recently. Starting off with the 10ways Ago 600 Pro. So that one I'm excited about because I actually reviewed the belt drive version about a year and a half ago. So we got in the 7-speed chain drive version, which just recently came out. So I was very happy to see that show up. You know, if you're not familiar with that bike or brand, that is a super cool lightweight city bike, has a 350 watt hub motor with a torque sensor, and just 10ways really nails their design. They have this really super cool integrated headlight that meets fancy German standard.
Just looks cool to me, but yes.
It does, yeah. I mean, that's the core of it, but yeah, there's some cool details too. But that's all that we've gotten in for testing, you know, a little bit slower this time of year.
But I'm excited to see that one because we've actually had some bikes in the past where we had a belt drive version, we had the, you know, the cassette version, and it surprisingly can change up things a lot. So kind of interested to see, like, you know, the differences, the hill test and range test, and frankly all of them. So
me too. The belt drive, you know, was kind of one of the better belt drives that we've seen with that sort of balance of being able to tackle hills and flats effectively. So I mean, I imagine that's only going to get better with the 7-speed.
Yeah, definitely. But in the meantime, yeah, we did have a couple of reviews go live this week as well. So both of them from me. Lucky me. So the Canyon Drive on CFR Underdog. That one was a lot of fun. It's another enduro EMTB. Canyon, really well known and really well respected. They're one of those DTC brands that does some like premium stuff, but makes it more affordable because they're predominantly DTC. Underdog was such a fitting moniker. It really is like a bike that can hang with the big boys, but it's a little bit more entry level for hanging with the big boys. But I mean, you get a really awesome carbon frame. The horse linkage and Fox suspension system on there is great. And then of course, we're big fans of, you know, Bosch motors. It's got that. So I mean, really awesome review. Definitely go check it out.
I'm excited for that one. That bike just looks sweet, but it rides really nice too.
I know. There's just something about Canyons. I just love the look of them. So
they really have that nailed too.
Yeah, 100%. And then also, Hitchrack review went live. Really excited for this one. So Hollywood Rack cross-track review. I've been testing that one out for over a month now.
That's one of those ones that's frameless contact, right?
Exactly. Yeah, okay. So really good for the mountain bikes, gravel bikes, just any bike you don't want, you know, contact on your frame. But this is really cool. It's very affordable. So the single bike version starts at $399. The 2-bike version starts at $749. And again, for hitch racks like this that have no frame contact, that's actually very affordable. That undercuts most of the other ones that I've seen and tested. But it works really well. It's actually Hollywood Rack's finest looking product, simplest in my opinion to date. So
gotta love Hollywood Racks.
I was gonna say
That's good.
Everyone loves. I think when you spend money on a bike, you like getting the, you know, more affordable accessories afterwards, and this is like a really good quality one. You don't gotta drop a ton of cash on. So
well, if that interests you, make sure you're subscribed. Check out all of our new reviews and everything that's gone live.
So each week we like to highlight a new trail system or some cycling infrastructure somewhere because we really want to celebrate and encourage more of that, you know, throughout the U.S., throughout the world, really, because it's really awesome to see what can happen and what good can come of thinking of cyclists and getting, you know, encouraging people to get out on bikes more.
Totally.
So somehow, John, we are 8 weeks in. This is episode number 8, and we haven't talked about this one yet. So we're going to rectify that today. I believe today you have us going to Arkansas. Is that correct?
That's right. That is Bentonville, Arkansas, which is just an amazing community with a whole city and culture built around biking. So they are kind of known for their mountain bike trails. They have a huge network of those that we'll get into some details later about, but they also have a bunch of paved multi-use paths. Wow, yeah.
The traps, multi-use
traps. One of those things.
They trap humans, they trap bears. Yes, they trap everyone who comes their way.
There's just so much there. There's protected bike lanes. There's, you know, events within the city that just celebrates bikes. It's a great vacation destination. So according to mtbproject.com, there are 122 miles of trails across 280 different trails. And that includes 171 green or easy trails, 126 intermediate level, and then 54 black diamonds.
You're not lacking for options.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I actually saw some other figures elsewhere, so that's why I quoted MTB Project there. There may be more out there, but anyway, the one that kind of jumped out to me, I'm not as much of a mountain biker, so I do kind of prefer those multi-use paths, but so there's a huge one here called the Razorback Greenway. that actually connects 7 different communities in the Bentonville area.
Razorback, go Hogs.
Yeah. So this is a 40-plus mile network of paths that connects Bella Vista up north of Bentonville down to Fayetteville, which is south of Bentonville, and a few communities in between. And it actually kind of runs right through one of the big mountain bike sections of town, which is called the Slaughter Pen. There's, I believe, about 5 or 6 different areas where they have 3 of those are within the Slaughter Pen. And so basically when you're riding on this trail, you get to see people having fun, taking off down single track, and there's art installations as well. It just seems like a really cool family-oriented place.
No, 100%. I feel like everyone I have ever spoken to who has made it out to Bentonville, Arkansas, they kind of treat it like this is the Holy Land, we must make our pilgrimage there type thing. It's like the thing you've got to go see and do. I've talked to people who usually when they say like, if they moved from Arkansas, that's actually one of the things like, what do you miss? There's like, that's usually towards the top. It's like, you miss the food, you miss the people, of course, and stuff. There's like, and honestly, going to Bentonville was always just such a cool thing, cool experience. This really is like this awesome thing that's been built to accommodate mountain bikers, and really is kind of the Disneyland of e-bikes is how we teased it in the intro, what's been said about it, and this is just the ultimate like playground destination thing. I
want to kind of go into the history of it a little bit too, because I think that's really cool and like why it kind of appears as the Disneyland of mountain biking. So if you're not already aware, the Walmart was started by a guy named Sam Walton. That he was located in Bentonville, so the Walmart headquarters is there. Now, he died back in the 90s, but his grandkids are super into mountain biking. They're part of the Walton Family Foundation, and they have spent $74 million developing these trails and really just boosting the town's culture and all their infrastructure and everything. Awesome. Just very cool to see, and obviously it's paying off.
Yeah, I've heard it's very bike to work friendly and stuff for them, which is like obviously, but
100%, yeah.
But still, I think it's just overall like a really cool destination for people to go check out. I think everyone should see it. I am definitely that's very high on my personal list of like places I want to go see, and hopefully I can do that soon. But just looking through some of these photos that you can find online, there's just a really cool, again, like the infrastructure here is insane, and there's just so many trails to go explore for newbies up to the most experienced riders alike. So really awesome place.
It was a lot of fun to dive into this. Just absolutely want to check this out.
But as always, we encourage our audience, hey, if there are other places, be they epic, be they small time, and just need a little bit of shout out and love because there really are cool hidden gems, always let us know. Reach out to us on social or email us, and we'll hopefully highlight one of those next week.
Yep. This is the section where we really like to engage with our audience and take a look at some of the biggest and maybe most conversation-worthy or conversation-inspiring comments that we've gotten.
The brightest audience on YouTube. They always ask the best questions.
They do, and it always makes us do a little bit more deep dive into things, and that's what this section
is some stuff to dig into. Always a fan. So
starting off, this was on the Velotric Discover 2 video review that I did a couple months ago. So that is Peter D. Videos, who asks, would it be trail-worthy if I swapped out the street tires for mountain bike Knobby tires? And of course referring to the Discover 2.
Okay. So on that one, you could definitely, if you want to, you can always swap and get Knobbies if you're going to be doing some lighter, going over some gravel or something like that.
Sure.
So nothing's stopping you from doing it. You can. I would say that particular bike is going to have some limitations from doing anything intensive. Sure. So again, if you want to, you can throw those on there for a little bit of traction in the dirt. If you do want to do a little bit more trail riding, some greenways, things like that, Velotric actually does have the Summit one, which is what they actually build as their hybrid style e-bike. Yep. It's kind of meant to be a commuter, but something you can play with out in the dirt on the weekends as well. Probably, maybe look more towards those things would be my advice. I
think it's worth pointing out too that the Summit has its limitations for that style though. So, if you're looking to hit something, really technical and aggressive, you're going to want a true EMTB.
Yes.
Maybe something Event and Rambless.
Yeah, I was going to say, start with those hardtails. Event and Rambless or even the Trek Marlin would be good ones to look at because there's nothing stopping you from riding on pathways with those either.
Right.
Those come with the tires already and a little bit, better geometry, a little bit more conducive to trail riding. The Discover, it's great, but it's very upright, not always the most conducive to trail riding. So just something to consider. But
for sure.
Yeah, but great question. All right, so next one up. This comes to us from the Troxus Lynx Plus review. This is from Seattle BMXer. Pretty good review. Good work, John. I was confused between the torque and cadence section. I felt the reviewer tried his best to describe it, but I wasn't feeling which one was better for him. Okay. Simply saying having the option is great doesn't answer the question, which settling are most people going to use. You guys are the experts, and I appreciate your advice. This seems like a very underestimated bike. Okay, awesome. Thank you for the comment. And, well, John, we'll give you the chance now to maybe address it a little more head on.
Yeah, so, I mean, sorry if it wasn't clear in that review. You know, I try to keep my personal opinion out of things as much as possible, but I will share that I do tend to prefer torque sensors. I just prefer a little bit,
for whatever it's worth. Yeah.
you know, the ability for the motor to give you more power when you pedal harder. It makes it just feel a lot more like a regular bike. It's natural, it's responsive. We use those words a lot, and I feel like that doesn't always translate, but that's really what we're getting at, is that it feels like an analog bike.
Exactly. It's just a little bit more, you know, if I push harder, I go faster, like same as you would on a non-motorized bike, whereas cadence sensors are really nice for taking it easy, but it's also not always the most natural thing, just because it kind of boosts you to certain, you know, like speed
preset limits.
Exactly. So sometimes you're playing keep up. Sometimes you want to go faster, and then the motor's like not pushing as hard anymore because it's trying to stay down lower. So it really is kind of like a thing that is preference based at the end of the day. I know people who like both, and you know, for different reasons. So.
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out that like each has a place. You know, if you do tend to prefer getting some exercise and being a little bit more active, a torque sensor is probably for you. If you're, you know, doing something like the Lynx Plus is a utility bike, right? You can load it up with some cargo. Once it's loaded up, you may prefer the cadence sensing mode because you don't have to work as hard then. The motor just kind of pushes you along. So that's kind of really the benefit of having both on the same bike, is you can switch between them. If, you know, you're just riding around by yourself, maybe you want it in torque sensing mode, maybe you get something on, you know, a load of groceries on the back or whatever, you can switch over to the cadence sensing mode, and, you know, that bike makes it very easy to do.
It is awesome to have the best of both worlds, and Traxxas is still one of only a handful of brands that are actually allowing that. Like Velotrix got some models, Ufree's got some models as well, but it's still kind of a rare feature to allow you to toggle between them. So kind of the overview.
Best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. You can kind of pick yourself and switch if you feel the need to. So,
thanks for the question. Hope that helped. Moving on, this is from Dr. Larry Brown, and this was on last week's episode of the Weekly Recharge. He said, "I'm a newbie to electric biking and looking to purchase my first. What has been your experience in enforcement of Class 1 versus Class 3 rules on formal paved bike trails? If someone isn't a jerk and holds to a 20 mile per hour or lower pace, is a Class 3 a frequent problem? Thanks, guys. Love your site."
Thank you for that. So Larry, I would say there was a couple questions, and then let's kind of address those. So Class 1 versus Class 3, for those who don't know, that's the difference between a 20 mile per hour speed limit or a 28 mile per hour speed limit. We personally have not really encountered any issue.
The paths here do have that 20 mile per hour limit. With
the paths here, they have a 20 mile per hour limit. We do range testing on them at 20 miles per hour. So it's not a huge issue. I do see people going faster than that on the bike paths. It's a multi-use bike path, so we always encourage people to follow local laws, to be good citizens, to consider other people out on the road. I know for certain areas, we even have some of this here, I think the bigger challenge is like how to regulate and control some of the big Surons of the world. We got a bunch of teenagers in my neighborhood who rip around all the time on an electric bike. It's really an electric motorcycle. I think those are probably more problematic.
We had that happening at Hellhole, right? They did kind of intervene in that instance, but that was kind of an extreme case where there was actually a problem and, you know, there was a safety risk. So.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, the good thing about it, if you do get a Class 3 bike, we actually often advocate for those, because if you are riding on the road, we think it just feels safer when you're able to keep up with traffic a little bit better. So it's nice to have that option. And even if like you don't want to toggle it, like the menu settings or something to like restrict it down to 20 miles per hour, it's also really easy to just pop it in, you know, a lower pedal assist setting and just keep it at 20 miles per hour when you do enter those multi-use paths. So.
And to kind of tie that back to the last question about the torque versus cadence sensor, you know, that's kind of the nice thing about the torque sensor is like you can just modulate your speed with your pedaling.
Exactly. So. Yeah. Just make it a little bit of an easier time. So, you know, great question. And I would also throw in, because you asked a little bit about like, is it a problem, like laws and stuff? Police are usually, again, they crack down on the real hard issues. The police officers we've talked to about, there's like, you know, I'm not sweating it too much if someone's doing 22.
Bigger things to worry about.
Not to encourage that. It's just, again, I think if you have a Class 3 bike on there, just keep it at 20. I think you're going to be just fine.
Totally.
Awesome. All right, and then one final question here. This comes from Rick I6D from last week's episode. Cool. I enjoy your reviews, but when a person is looking for any e-bike, shouldn't they first establish how the bike will be used? If you intend on riding roads, why do you look at fat tire bikes? If your rides will be 35 to 45 miles, you need battery capacity. If you're coming from a bicycle, look at mid-drives. Next, establish a price range. Well, thank you for writing in, Rick. I think there was a lot of good advice in there, and maybe a couple of things we can jump into as well about some of the stuff you said.
I agree. I mean, I think that, overall, considering what you want to do with your bike, it should definitely be your first priority.
Yeah, step one.
that kind of just gets you in the mindset of like, what category of e-bike am I looking for?
What style do I need? What are the criteria that matters the most? Let's elevate those up. But
definitely, and I guess I'll jump in and answer the question about fat tire bikes first, and then we'll kind of look at maybe some other considerations. Just with the riders that we interact with, stability is kind of the big factor with a fat tire bike. I mean, that is sort of a defining characteristic. There are a couple other things as well, but you get on those bikes, they're big, they're stable, they're really stuck to the ground.
You would really be surprised at the difference that the width of that tire can make.
Yeah.
Most commuter tires are somewhere between like 2.25 and 2.6 inches. But when you kind of like jump up to that 3.5, 4-inch fat tire, it's a wider platform to work with. And especially if you haven't been riding a bike in a few years, a few decades or something like that, a lot of seniors who come back into biking, that's one of their first comments. I just love how stable that feels beneath me. It's also a little bit more comfortable. You can pressure down, lower the air pressure a little bit. It feels a little bit softer, more comfortable. My own parents and my in-laws, I've actually been having them try out bikes. They all had the exact same comment on the fat tires of just like, oh wow, that feels really stable.
It's unavoidable. It's a big highlight about those styles. Another thing is the fact that they're so versatile. They can ride both on and off pavement. They're also good for, if you live in a place that gets a lot of snow, that'll help you kind of stay, stable and power through 100%.
You can kind of ride anywhere on anything. And also, a lot of the downsides of fat tires are actually really negated by having a motor on there. I mean, yes, it's technically less efficient. Yes, it's like there's more drag, stuff like that. However, the motor sails right through that. Take a look at our range testing on the fat tire reviews, just establish if that's enough range for you. But, a lot of good with fat tires. We actually like to recommend them as commuters for certain models anyway.
Definitely. And then to kind of run through a list of other considerations, maybe relatively in order of importance, once you do figure out what you want to do with your bike, a portion of that is figuring out where you're going to be riding. If you are just sticking with, bike paths and roads, or whether you want the flexibility to go and hit some, multi-use paths that are gravel or some, dirt trails as well. So another thing to consider is comfort. If you comfort tied into like riding position, I think is if you've got some physical limitations that sort of dictate aches and pains in your back or neck or something, you might want something more upright.
Is it a step through to like manage a top tube? Like is it going to be comfortable for me and worth where I'm at?
Definitely. And then so kind of relating to where you plan to ride, what laws are in place that might determine what class you can ride?
Yeah, like can I have a class 2? Can I hit that throttle, or is that prohibitado where I'm at?
Absolutely.
I made it Spanish so it sounded more interesting.
I approve of your tactics. Just to kind of run through a few quick ones here then. So, the weight of a bike, the responsiveness and feel of it, which kind of ties back to that torque versus cadence sensor thing that we talked about. The power of your motor, if you live in a place that's hilly. Handling of a bike, something that's lightweight tends to be a little zippier. And,
definitely.
Then we also have, range is a consideration, but don't just buy a bike with a huge battery just because.
Good advice.
Make use of that effectively. The quality of a bike, that sort of affects your budget. Just kind of all these things come together. Budget is a core factor, but it should be informed by all of these other things, not necessarily considered as its own separate.
Yeah, 100%. And in our reviews, we try to cover all of these, if most of them, if not all of them, try and touch on each of them. And of course, just leverage our testing and some of our insights. And then, but of course, order your criteria how it matters to you. Just make sure you're checking all the boxes as you do it, and then hopefully helps you find the right e-bike for your situation. So, thank you again, Rick, for writing in. I think some good advice in there. And as always, thank you to our audience for giving us such good questions to dive into each week. Make sure to comment either on this show, on our website, social, wherever you can leave a comment, and hopefully we'll jump into your question next week.
We really like interacting with everybody.
And now, boys and girls, it's time for Deals of the Week. Deals of the Week. Yay, snapping. Okay. So as you guys know, it is holiday shopping season. Black Friday has come and gone.
We've covered that a lot.
We had Cyber Monday. We've covered that a lot. But guess what? Most of those deals are actually still going live. Just kind of like, you know, Black Friday was really Black November. It looks like Cyber Monday is Cyber Week, maybe Cyber December. I don't know.
Cyber December. I like that.
I was going to say, a lot of brands still have some deals going on. So we're going to leave a link in the video description to our Black Friday and Cyber Monday page. Make sure to check it out. If you know, got the wrong Christmas present, you're already sending that one back, need to get a new one. That's a good page to check out to see what's there. But there are a couple of bikes that we haven't shouted out over the last few weeks that did pop up on Cyber Monday deals. So.
Yeah, so the Ride One Up Rev 1 full suspension, so that's their moped style bike, is $300 off, and you get a 50% off battery balancer bundle, so that's the dual battery setup.
Yeah, and they'll let you bring a buddy package or something like that, I think, discounted as well.
That's great. We've got the Rad Rover 6 Plus ST on sale, so that's the limited green color, that is $200 off, so it's just $13.99 for a very great fat tire bike.
That is a very low price. I think it was $2,000 when it first came out, so that's a really good deal on that, on very stable, very predictable bike.
Yeah, and then to wrap things up, the Velotric Fold 1, so that's their folding bike, is currently $1,049. That is just a steal.
That's highly competitive for a very comfortable bike. Really high weight capacity on that one too, like 440 or 450 or something like that. Like,
plus it was 440, and then you also get a larger than average battery with that as well.
It's a really good bike. So like we said, lots of deals still going on. Make sure to check them all out. Get them.
Not going to last forever. Yeah. This is another segment where we just really like to highlight you, our audience, our readers and viewers here on YouTube. Every week we pick out one comment from someone who has told us a little bit about how they ride, how they interact with e-bikes, what a difference e-bikes have made in their lives. So Griffin, who do we have this week?
So this week we're giving a shout out to Catherine Hensley, who commented on our best e-bikes for women page back at electricbikereport.com. And she said, "Thank you for this article. I am a senior e-biker and an e-biking advocate in my hometown and online. I often advise people to check reviews on your website. Thank you very much. Especially your hill climb results, as my hometown is on a mountain and our city streets can sometimes be challenging, even for an e-bike. Wow. I have already shared this article with a couple of other senior women looking for their first e-bike. Great work." Catherine, the most sincere of thank yous for the kind words and for sharing the article and just,
being an advocate.
Being an advocate, you're preaching the good e-bike gospel in your own hometown, which we're always big fans of. Again, sincerely thank you to our audience members. We just love getting comments like this and love hearing that you guys are out there sharing with friends.
If you're watching right now and you want to be highlighted on the show, make sure you drop us a comment. Let us know what bike you ride, how you ride, where your trail systems are. Just tell us about you, and we'll see you on a later episode of this show.
As always, thank you so much for watching and for following along with us. Really good episode this week. Covered a lot of really awesome stuff. And thank you so much for liking, for subscribing, for sharing with your friends, your neighbors, your strangers. I like anyone else out e-biking with you. We always greatly appreciate it. And if you want to reach out to us at the show, like we said, comment on our stuff online, or you can even email us at questions@electricbikereport.com. Let us know what questions you have, or if you'd like to be featured on the show, tell us your story. So.
That's right. We'll see you next time on The Weekly Recharge.